It's 8 o'clock on a Thursday night on the Horn. That must mean this is Insinserious. I'm your host, Patrick Davis. With me, as always, the great Anthony White. On today's show, we will get you all caught up to date with the NBA Finals and keep you up to date with Game 1 as it goes on right now. Talk a little bit about what the Celtics will do next. The coaching carousel in the NBA. Go over to the NFL for some of the top stories, top shelf, bottom shelf, and, of course, some Insinserious news, all coming on the show today. But let's start off the show same way we do every week by asking you, Anthony, what was the best thing you saw this week?
So it's a little bit of a cynical thing, but to watch the Celtics implode the way they did was just, as a Lakers fan, just
If we can't have it, no one can.
Exactly. And so, I wasn't really rooting for either one of them. I'm not the biggest Miami fan, but I do have a friend, a very good friend, Will, who is a Miami Heat fan. I lost a few ducats to him on this one, but that's okay. So it was worth it.
All you had to bet that they're going to win the finals.
Yeah.
That's all you had to bet.
Well, no, so that was I'd already accepted that I was going to lose this bet, so I doubled down, but my Lakers didn't do their job to get to the finals, so.
No, because Denver's really good at basketball.
Yeah. And he wouldn't if he knew that Denver was going to go there, he wouldn't have taken that bet.
I'll say there was a great game on Saturday, though. Had a great time. Thanks, everybody, for the birthday wishes all week. That was very awesome. And then had a good time on Saturday watching the game, and Derek White's crazy putback to win that game on Saturday to extend it to a Game 7 that it shouldn't have been. Right now in the NBA Finals, 29-20, Denver is up. It's going to be that third quarter, man. That third quarter is what it's going to be for Miami. Miami's going to have a third quarter in one of these games where they put up 45-50 and really slow down like Denver. Just play really good defense and turn defense into offense.
So to just not lose by 20?
No, to win one of these. To win one game during this finals.
So, okay, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Let's talk some NBA, though. And, let's get to it right off the bat. Why not get right off the bat?
Sure.
It's Miami versus Denver. I think people are starting to catch on that Denver's good. I think they're starting to. We saw, they beat Minnesota, but everybody was like, okay, that's fine. That's a 1-8 seed matchup. You figure they're going to win and pretty handily, especially Anthony Edwards didn't have a great series in there. You need him to be a guy. Minnesota hasn't looked great all season, so that's fine. They go to play Phoenix. People, I guess, chalk it up to injuries, that they really dominated that series.
Injuries and cohesion. They weren't together long enough.
Yeah, but it was one of those things, and Denver's just a better team. And then they go to play the Lakers, and everybody sees the Lakers go 7 games with the Warriors, and everybody thinks, oh, man, this is going to be a huge matchup of two Titans, and Denver just shuts them down completely because they were a much better team, just a much better team than the Warriors or the Lakers.
So in hindsight, was there any team in the West that could have possibly ousted the Nuggets?
A fully healthy Phoenix would have probably been as close.
Okay.
But
let me ask you this: a fully healthy, minus the trade of Durant, they're the old team that they had without.
No, because I think they need another weapon there. And I don't think it would have helped him to have the outside weapons, but you need another. One of the big problems in the West is everybody's kind of gone smaller, not bigger. And with Jokic, it's shown like what the Lakers had. You need another big to guard Jokic, and then have your roamer. That's kind of what you use your big for. And all these teams don't really have two bigs anymore. They can do that. So you don't have a guy who can just go put a body on Jokic, which would really help you out in a lot of these games. And so I think, if Denver goes ahead, if Denver sweeps Miami, I think you'll see teams try and prioritize getting another big just on the roster. Just to have another big there. They go, okay, this guy's ready for playoff time if we play one of these teams, which is Denver.
Right.
But, yeah, is there anybody in this series that you would say, this is the guy I'm picking that needs to step up? Not Jamal Murray, not Jokic, not Jimmy Butler, not Bam Adebayo, but anybody else who you say this is their series outside of the big names.
So if let's say Miami has any real shot, it's Caleb Martin. He's got to really do what he did last series. I would have picked him series MVP, but that's my opinion. And then on the flip side, Michael Porter, it would be the other guy.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it, and for the Heat, you're going to need Bam Adebayo to step up, which means you're going to need a Kevin Love or somebody else that's in there big in there to come in and play minutes against Jokic and give you extra minutes. Because I think, on the perimeter, you're going to play good enough defense. You play good enough defense all year. You can kind of change up some looks on the outside. But I think you're going to need another big to come in there and play because in this series, you can't try and outscore Denver.
Sure.
You have to play defense. We've seen this in every series. You just try to add more and more firepower. Denver is one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the NBA. So if you're trying to outscore the best, then that's a failed logic. You have to try and slow down the best and then outscore them. So you'd like to keep Denver into that 110, under 110, basically.
So
because it's unrealistic to say under 100. 105 is really preferable where you'd like to be at, but 110 is kind of your cap of if you want to win a game. I think you've got to keep them under 110.
So your guy is Love over Plumlee, putting a body on Jokic. I know that Plumlee can't really score, but he's a bigger body that at least can put a little more pressure.
I think because I think Kevin Love, because I think Plumlee can go in there and do that, but now you're taking a disadvantage on offense, and then you're kind of letting Jokic guard him and not have to do anything.
Sure.
Versus where Kevin Love can stretch the floor and it changes the dynamic where you're going to put Jokic and he's going to play against Bam and then Bam can go after him. I think if Kevin Love is able to fill that role, and I don't know if he's going to, but if he can, that's a huge upgrade for the Miami Heat. And then on the other side, it's Aaron Gordon.
Well, let me ask you. Let me flip it on that then, because it's kind of easy because it sounds like we both have the same sentiment of who's going to win the finals.
Yeah.
But let's say there's got to be a third person that can, carry the weight or whatever when Jokic and Murray have off nights. That one player, though, but the opposite, who cannot have an off series. Like, if this person on the Nuggets has an off series, just the entire series, there's a good chance Miami has a better chance of stealing more than just one game.
Other than Jokic or Murray?
Yeah. Like, that third person that has to be consistent. Because, we're kind of watching right now, and KCP is kind of being that person. There's always been that third player.
Yeah, because that's the thing is I think they have enough options that they don't need a guy every single night. Because Michael Porter Jr. can put up 25 in a night. KCP could put up 25 in a night. Bruce Brown has shown that he can put up 25 in a night. So you just need one or two of those guys to step up and play really well. But you have three or four of those guys that you can kind of flute around. The one name I'm going to throw out there is Aaron Gordon because he's going to play really good defense. But we've seen teams have been able to really exploit him on the other end of the court. If he's not hitting his threes, then you can't really put him in a space because you don't want him to come in closer because it means your defender can help over on Jokic, help over on rim defense and rim protection. But if you don't, then you scan him out, he's going to be open, but he's got to take those threes.
Right.
And if he's not hitting those threes, it can become a problem of if you get a Kevin Love or a Plumlee or if you even go code red and put in Haslam to start a fight, then you will be able to have Bam basically on Aaron Gordon, helping out way off of Aaron Gordon and just letting him shoot threes. Also getting him boxed out for rebounds. Just a lot of things that if he plays well and he offensively could be a weapon, then it just makes it that much harder for Miami.
Other than Butler, does Miami have any position that they are more dominant than the Nuggets in this
I mean, and that's the thing, is if we're saying Jamal Murray and Jimmy Butler are matching up,
ooh, yeah,
then we're 50-50 on that one because Jimmy Butler can take it, but Jamal Murray's had games in here that have been epic.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one where there really isn't a position that you can say, oh, they're dominating this one thing.
Yeah.
I think if you look around just team culture, they also win coaching. And Mike Malone is a really good coach. Eric Spoelstra he's going to win the coaching battle in this. I still want to know what it was on that.
Video?
The video?
I know, it's killing me.
What was on it? That was so bad that we saw his face where it looked like he was shocked when Bam Adebayo was like, Spose showed us a video. He was like, what? What are you talking about? That's rule 1 and 2 of Fight Club. You don't talk about it. And then the grab, the arms, talk about it to
that
Ernie.
That squeeze was a very serious listen.
Do not bring it up. And no one brought it up during the week of events, so you knew they had to go to all the beat reporters and be like, don't mention it. This will shut down an interview.
So do you think now they went to Bam and made him sign an NDA? He's like, even when you retire, you cannot speak about this.
Oh, I want to know, one of these guys in that locker room
has to know.
It's got to leak. And then he's going to be like, what was the video? And he'll be like, it's WW does Dallas. Inspirational. Because what could it be that no one, you can't mention it?
That it was such a big deal that they had to shut it down.
Because I heard a theory that it was the Boston Celtics celebrating on their court winning the Eastern Conference Finals. And I heard that
can't be something you have to.
And then it was cut in with other things. But you were like, but you could say that.
Yeah.
You could just be like, we showed them celebrating on our court, and it galvanized us to be like, we don't want that to happen again. And you go, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe it was just like 15 minutes of interviews of Tatum and Brown and just sounding so weak and and scared and against each other. He's like, really, we're going to lose to these guys?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a crazy that I still want to know what that video is. But I think that's really the only pure advantage they have. But even that, Malone's a good coach. So it's just going to be, or is Miami going to basically be able to pull the underdog card out enough, get super hyped, and for one game? But I'll tell you this, I want to see mad Jimmy Butler. I do not like this Jimmy Butler we have seen since Game 3.
Yeah.
Because basically he was so mad and so amped up, and you saw him, and it was so much fun to watch him play. And then he's been playing good basketball. But I don't need good basketball Jimmy. I need great basketball Jimmy, right?
I think we get one after their first loss at home is when he gets.
I think, well, because that's down 3-0 at that point.
It is. So, okay.
So I think maybe it's Game 3 going back to Miami when he basically realizes when every single person comes out and goes, oh, yeah, Jimmy Butler's not that good. Like, he was overrated in this series. He can't do anything. Denver's just so much better than them. Jamal Murray's outplaying him. Maybe that'll get him back to that angry.
Yeah.
And I'll say those things because I want to see him angry again. We know what he can do.
He's the Trey Young of this year's playoffs.
Yeah. But I mean, like, because he's better than Trey Young.
I know, but that's what would make him upset.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I just want to see him get mad again.
Yeah.
Are we both predicting? We're both predicting Denver. I know that.
Well, Michael Porter just went down, so, could be a problem.
Oof.
Well, yes, we are both predicting Denver. It's just I honestly do see them getting swept. Ooh, that's not good, though.
He is still down. Not good.
I do see them getting swept. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami gets one, but I just don't. And, we do forget that Denver is known for, just kind of taking days off, taking games off. I don't see them doing that during this series.
He's just selling a foul. He's just selling a foul.
Yeah,
he's fine.
It's his face.
Yeah, he got hit in the face. He's okay.
It's a broken jaw, whatever.
No, he's trying to sell the flagrant. It's a new way of the NBA that you try and sell the flagrant. So anytime you get anything to the face, you hit the ground as if you've been shot, like John Morant's in the crowd.
Oh,
and
wow. And we've been cut.
Not the most offensive thing I've said on the radio today, guys.
All right.
I won't repeat the other, but it was a room shocker. But do we see him? Do they win a game?
No.
It's a sweep.
It's a sweep.
I think Miami could win one just because I want to give respect to what they've done in the playoffs. If you were to tell me, if you took the emotion out of it, I'd probably say it's a straight sweep, and the games aren't even that close. But I think Miami can pull one out. Tyler Hero is now projected to maybe come back Game 2.
Oh, Game 2, okay.
So that will be interesting to see what he does. Let's move over to a team that is no longer in there. The Celtics are now in try and figure it out mode. Brad Stevens is taking over the team. They looked way worse. They were still a good team this year, but they didn't seem to be the team that they were last year. I don't want to say way worse. They didn't look like the same team as last year.
Yeah. And
we know that was coaching. We know that was another year for every player to go back and work on their own things, and just the philosophy changed a little bit. But let's start with the elephant in the room is Jaylen Brown.
I think it's a no-brainer. I don't understand how you could possibly bring it back. It just seems like insanity, just banging your head against the wall. I still think that, and I mean, I've heard this from a lot of other people, so I'm not saying anything new, but I think their best bet is with Portland, either Dame or taking the third pick and rebuilding with that route. But you can't keep Jaylen Brown. I mean, because especially not just because of the team chemistry, the amount of money you're gonna have to pay him. He's not worth that. Other teams will see him in that value, but he's not worth it on your team.
No, and with the new CBA, it changes kind of how you look at that second player.
Right.
Which we're still in the NBA of a secondary player is a max guy. I think the new CBA owners are trying to fight away that theory and say you're still getting paid a lot, but there's a max guy. There's a max guy on a team, and there's one a team. There should be one max guy, and then if you're Jaylen Brown, you're not a max guy. And 10 years ago, he's not even close to a max guy.
Right.
I mean, I know it's silly, but Scottie Pippen signed some bad contracts, but he was never close to making Michael Jordan money. But Scottie Pippen is way better than Jaylen Brown.
For sure. But I mean, Do you find this as a good thing that they're changing it this way, or
no?
Because it's going to spread out.
I think it's too abrupt
Right.
to do it right off the bat. It's going to make it's going to be a weird change. So, like, a lot of the rules seem to not favor the players in the right way. They seem to favor, like, it seemed to be a thing to make owners basically not spend as much money. So I think there was other ways you could have altered it to try and spread the money out. But I'm curious. I think it's going to be a long experience of basically we're going to pay 2 guys max contracts. We're going to pay one other guy a decent amount, and then everybody else is going to get completely screwed on this.
Right.
And I think it'll even out eventually, but the CBA could be up by then, and then the players are like, well, we got to change everything again. I just hate that you're giving the secondary player so much of this money, and if you're the Celtics, you can't afford to really give up Jaylen Brown for not another star. Like, you have to get another guy back. You can't trade him out for pieces because that model doesn't necessarily work in today's NBA. You need at least another all-star on your team. It's very hard to win with one all-star.
Even if,
and I know Jokic has done it, but that's only because Jamal Murray's been hurt.
Yeah, but they didn't do it. I mean, this is them doing it now with everybody being healthy.
No, but I mean, in 2020, it was because Jamal Murray was hurt.
Right.
In 2021, he was hurt. So there's a reason why Jamal Murray has not made an all-star team. It's because of injuries. It is not because he is not the player. We all agree he would have been an all-star if he would have played full seasons.
Okay, but so you're Boston. You don't have a coach really, and it's crazy to say that you keep him as well. But you've kind of waited, unfortunately, because you had to, because you were in the playoffs, and some of the top-tier coaches are already off the board. So you're not really left with much choices. So, and I know that you were right there. However, I don't see a top-tier all-star that's on the market that you can really trade for Jaylen Brown.
That's the question. And it doesn't need to be a top-tier all-star. It needs to be an all-star. But when you said if you try and go to Portland and get Damian Lillard, that's a guy.
That is a guy. I mean, that's my choice.
And so there are guys like that you can go try and get after if you want to send him. And then I know we put Indy in a lot of these trades, but if you want to try and go after some guys that have been playing well in Indy and you want to believe Tyrese Halliburton can step up to that next level or somebody like that, I think that's one of those moves you could try and make a move for. And we'll know a little bit more as we get into the offseason who's available and who's not and who's – look at Phoenix. Look at Golden State. These are both teams that are going to have guys that they're going to be moving out because their salary cap situations are going to be weird.
Do you look at a team like Houston who has talented players that are young and not proven just because of the –
I don't think Houston looks at it.
Really?
No, because I just don't think that they want to bring in a Jaylen Brown if you're going to – I mean, what would you have to go? Because you're not giving up Jalen Green. You're not giving up – I mean, you give up the number 4 pick probably for a Jaylen Brown.
See, but then I go back to Portland. I get that number 3 and like a
and that's the question is, and if I'm in Portland, I don't get the number 3 because it doesn't. You still don't win a title with that.
And that's what's crazy to me is that people, you don't want to give up the 3rd, but then there's going to be teams out there that will give up that max or that $50 million a year contract to him. So it's just kind of it's odd how
and well, we don't know who's going to give it up for him. We know that people keep saying they're going to. But the question is, when it comes to push to shove, who's got the cap room, who's got the space, and a sign and trade, who's willing to really do it?
Well, let's say like Philly loses Harden. Would they be one of those teams that you would think
I don't
would
think
go?
Philly would. I think a team like Dallas is one of those.
Dallas is always one of those.
But
teams.
that's what I mean. So I think you're looking at a team like that or a team like
New York.
Or like the Clippers if they go, we have all these guys and they're not working, so let's just shuffle guys.
Yeah.
I think like one of those teams that just consistently can't get it done, then those teams might do it. New York probably not because you'd sit and go, we have R.J. Barrett, and unless you want to take Julius Randle, but you don't.
No, you don't.
And I mean, and we'll throw in, there's a team, Jordan Poole is going to get traded this offseason, like 95% chance, just because they have to get rid of his salary.
Oh, but could you? Oh,
but I'm saying, I'm not
disgusting.
saying you're sending Jaylen Brown to.
Like a 3-team trade?
Yeah, but you could be sending Jaylen Brown somewhere and then basically taking back Jordan Poole's salary, maybe with somebody else, or
I like that. I could do that.
Especially if you get a Kuminga in there or something,
for sure,
or you get a guy from the 3rd team. But they're gonna Golden State's gonna have to try and ditch salary at some point,
sure,
because the new CBA is just gonna punish them really hard. Bob Myers left this week.
He said, "I'm not trying to figure this out."
No, I get it. I don't think it's terrible the way he did it, but yeah, he did see the writing on the wall when the new CBA happened. He was like, "Y'all want me to fix this again?"
So are we both in agreement that Jaylen Brown's getting traded?
I think he will be because the news came out today that Brad Stevens said Missoula's staying. And if you're going to keep Missoula, you can't keep both of them. I think if you got a good coach, you could. But if you have a bad coach, you can't keep them.
So here's what's crazy. You're going to keep this coach who already has a depleted assistants, and then there's already rumors that Ime is going to take 3 of those assistants away.
Yeah.
So you're going to be left. You're going to have to find this all-star crew of assistants to save this coach. Like
a 34-year-old coach?
But we're both in agreement that coach is not good, right?
No, and I think he could be later, but you hired him too soon.
Too soon.
You threw him into the fire. And you're learning on the run on a team where you can't really do that in the NBA. Are you going to keep him for 8 years, 9 years?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, what are you going to do when Tatum's contract comes up? And he's like, hey, I don't want to play for this guy anymore. He can't win.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is the problem is you hired him. He's growing up with the team. And I just don't see it as a fit right now.
And that's what I'm saying. Then if that's the case, if we're having a young coach, we're already saying we're not in it to win it right now because you can't win it right now with this coach.
No, and I mean, we're running into the contract time of Grant Williams, who's a big piece of this team.
No, he's not.
He is because you want to talk about any playoff toughness. There's no toughness on that team other than him. There's no one on that team willing to do anything. Robert Williams is going to miss half a season. You know he's a 40 to 50 games a year guy just because his injuries have been that way. And Michael Porter Jr. is that guy. You hope he's healthy in the playoffs, but you know he's going to miss a lot of games during the season. You need players like that on your roster, and I don't think they can afford to keep him under the new CBA because someone's going to want that kind of player on their team.
I would cut him in a heartbeat. I do not see him beneficial to that team. I understand the toughness. Understand what you're saying. I just don't think he's worth anything that.
I think we saw when he played well, they won games, and when he played poorly, they lost games. So if we're saying he's not valuable, but when he plays well, they're winning, or they're competing in these games, and when he's not, they're getting blown out, then he clearly has value. It's just he's not fun to watch, but that's what you need for some of these guys. Like Bobby Portis isn't fun to watch. He definitely helped Milwaukee win a title.
Bobby's terrifying to watch.
Yeah, but he helped Milwaukee win a title.
That's fair. I mean,
and so
I just don't see the two as the same, but I understand.
I don't see they're not the same player. I'm just saying you need that guy on your team. You need somebody on that team who's just a little bit different of a player from the rest of your team. There's a great video of him getting his butt slapped too, which is weird. Hilarious.
Again, so many weird things.
It's just the whitest team in the world, right? That seemed like real white guy stuff.
Your words, not mine.
It seemed like real white guy stuff there. Let's go over to the coaching carousel. We'll talk about the teams who have not have jobs yet. Coach Bud fired from Milwaukee. They have already replaced him with Adrian Griffin. Is this do you like this change? Do you get this change?
I like it. I like the potential there. I don't really know if it's a good fit, but we'll see.
Yeah, Adrian Griffin is one of those guys. I'm guessing that this was also done in talks with Giannis because one of the reasons you figure that Mike Bud got let go was because of the relationship with Giannis because it just has to be. It has to be at a certain point. So it's interesting to see. We'll see. I think that there must be some part to it where Giannis has a relationship with him. I'm curious to see it. I'm glad they did this than try and sign a name that wasn't worth it. I think it's better to go in a route of, hey, let's go try and find the next guy because that's what worked with Coach Bud, too, that we kind of gave him a shot. So I like that. Doc Rivers gets fired. Nick Nurse gets signed. I'm in favor of this.
Yeah.
I think brings it a little bit tougher for a 76ers team that seemed to be very star-oriented and very star-run. And then we saw them kind of disappear in the playoffs, and Embiid was not the same guy after getting the MVP. I think you need a harder coach. You need someone to come in and go, look, we're paying you millions of dollars. This isn't about you. This is about the team. Let's go win. And as much as Embiid may not enjoy that going into it, we think that James Harden is probably already gone.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you feel like this hiring is all but certain that he's gone? Because this is
I
not
think
his
he was
type
already
of
gone. I think once they got knocked out of the playoffs and he knew he wasn't getting an easy ring there, then he was like, why am I here? The only reason I'm here is to get a ring.
Right.
That's it. I don't like they're trying to make me do stuff. I know what this team needs, and it's more defense, and I'm not that guy.
I'm not doing that.
They don't really want me to be the secondary scorer.
Yeah.
And when they do, they don't want me to have the ball in my hands, which is what I do. So I can go back to Houston where I'm gonna have the ball in my hands all the time because these kids don't know how to ask for the ball. Like one of Jabari Smith's things is that he's not assertive enough. So he's like, I can go back there and I can run the offense and I can just throw them the ball and then they'll learn a little bit and then I'll retire.
But if you're Ime, do you want that? Do you want that in your life? You have this young core, and you bring James Harden in.
I think Ime is the type of guy who can make it work. Okay. We saw what he did with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think he's a guy that is up for the challenge of doing that. and you definitely want to have some veteran leadership on the team. And
but you said leadership.
I know, but you can take stuff out of it.
Okay.
And James Harden, if nothing else, can show you how to prepare for it before a game. If you haven't done those are just things.
I hear you. It's just hard.
No, I remember when Justin Verlander came to the Astros, all the pitchers we had all these young pitchers who really didn't have a lot of major league experience, and they were all like, "Oh, so you get there this many hours before, and you do this, and it really helped them understand how a Hall of Famer prepares for games." And that's kind of having that when you have all young guys, and Steven Silas was their coach. So they're not really a model for how do you prepare for a game like a guy who's going to go in the Hall of Fame, a former MVP. And so you may say, hey, you know the part where he goes to the strip club every night? Leave that part out. But the part on the court, let's learn from that. How does he practice? How does he do this? And you can learn some things. And if you're Ime and you're a good enough coach, you can pull the things out of it that you want. Like Ime can say, hey, don't do as I do with staff.
Oh, my God.
You can do that. And finally, Monty Williams getting a massive contract in Detroit. I love it for Monty.
Love it.
I think that this was probably a thing that maybe Boston had looked at. I think maybe some other teams had looked at. And
I think this is the best fit for him. I think this is.
I think it's a great fit.
Redemption for getting blamed for all of Phoenix's woes.
Well, and he's shown he can take a team from really bad to a really good team.
Yeah.
And then the question is the playoffs. But that's why he wants the money. Because he goes, look, I want you to be so pot committed to me that you're not going to fire me the second we don't win. When I get him, I take him all the way and go, hey, we need another year to get to the promised land. They go, no, you're out of here.
Yeah.
I know 2 of your players were hurt and Chris Paul's really old. And we made a trade that you probably didn't ask for. But you didn't figure it out.
But it's also the Pistons. They're like, we're not going.
Before we go to break, if Matt Ishbia hires Doc Rivers, should we kick him out of the league already as an owner?
He's
worst owner ever. He's
owner.
like Mark Cuban's like, woohoo! Not me anymore. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will get into some NFL news, top shelf, bottom shelf, and of course, a little bit later, some Insinserious news. If you want to join the conversation, 512-337-3776. 512-337-3776 is the Specs text line. Text us in there. What do you want to talk about? Any stories, your opinions, why we're wrong about things? Let us know. We'll be right back with more Insinserious on the Horn 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260. Back on Insinserious here on the Horn. Well, it seems like we were all right about the finals so far. Denver up 17 points going into the half, making it look pretty easy. We know Miami was came to Denver right after the Eastern Conference Finals to try and acclimate to the elevation. However, I don't know if it has worked. Now, they also say you get your second win, and sometimes in the second half, these guys play a little bit better because they feel they're a little bit more accustomed to playing at a game level in that in the elevation. We will see.
So you're going to say 50 points from Miami, third quarter?
They're going to need it, man.
I know.
They are going to need it.
That's right.
But they did this against Boston in a game, right?
Sure.
They had the game where they were down, I think, 12 at the end of the third quarter, and then were up double digits by the end of the third quarter.
And there was an important thing you said there, Boston.
I'm aware. I don't think it's going to happen this game. I think they need to do it a game. It does not look like it's going to be this one.
No.
They're going to have to get back into it. And that rest versus rust, take rest.
Yes, always.
Yes, take the rest. Take the rest. Some NFL news. Let's start off with DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay.
This is the big news because this is a top player. He's no longer a top 3 wide receiver. I don't think he's top 5 anymore, but he's probably still a top 10 wide receiver in the league. He's still really good, and depending on where he goes and where he's put into, especially if he is a number 2 wide receiver somewhere, when we see him and he's not in double coverage and it's 50-50 balls, I don't know who's better at that than the NFL. It's crazy to see that he got out, and I know, look, I'm on the train of Bill O'Brien, and that whole system was terrible. I hated when they traded him. It's one of the reasons why I stopped rooting for the Texans was because of the DeAndre Hopkins trade. But it is 2 teams now that have basically said, we're out of DeAndre Hopkins. We don't care how good he is. We just need him off of our team because he does not want to be here, and we don't want him to be here.
Okay.
So I think there may be a little – at least you got to vet him a little bit more if you're saying, hey, we're a little worried this guy may come in and not be completely happy. But I don't know if that's – if it's
true.
If it's a 5% thing or a 10% thing. I don't think it's even more than 10% because he's played with bad quarterbacks and in bad dysfunctional teams.
Yeah.
But now he wants the money, and I know he wants to ring chase and he wants the money, which is really hard to do.
Right.
If you want the money more than you want to ring chase, does he go to a third dysfunctional team that's willing to drop 25 mil on him?
Is there a certain team you're talking about?
There's not.
Oh, okay.
There's not.
I have seen the only reason why I'm smiling and why I thought you brought it up first is because there has been a rumor. I'm sure it is just a rumor that he was interested in going back to Houston.
No, and I could believe. I don't think he would go back to Houston because we've said too. I don't think he wants to play for a rookie quarterback in a bad quarterback. I think he wants to go somewhere with a quarterback. Is probably as much as money or ring chasing. Man, I just can't go to another bad team. Now, Cleveland is one of those ones he played with Hopkins before. So Watson and Hopkins maybe they'll do it. And Cleveland's one of those dysfunctional franchises that could spend that money, and he could end up in yet another dysfunctional franchise. That's more of what I was going with. Baltimore, now that they got Lamar Jackson wrapped up, do they go there and turn
– add him with Odell and
Zay Flowers – and turn one
Rashad
of the
Bateman.
And Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay.
Yes.
But you take one of the worst wide receiver rooms and turn him into one of the best in an offseason, which is crazy to think for a Baltimore team that doesn't want to spend any money. Again, I think Baltimore has other problems they need to fix too. Right. People are getting really hot on this hype train. You're like, yeah, but they're a defensive-based team, and they never fixed it. They don't think they fixed their defense. They're fixing their offense. Good for them. Todd Monken, hopefully he can go. Where do you think that he tries to go? I mean, Kansas City's been one of the odds-on favorites. They have the money. The main problem that I think people are seeing is that they like Kadarius Toney a lot. But I still don't know how you think.
Okay, so even if you like Kadarius Toney, it's a 1-2. Because who's your number 2? Sky Moore?
Yeah, no, I agree. And look, if you have DeAndre Hopkins and Kadarius Toney, DeAndre Hopkins is your number 1. At least defensive game plan until it changes. People are going to guard DeAndre Hopkins like he's your number 1. Until Kadarius Toney needs a double team, then no one's doubling Kadarius Toney right now, right?
Right.
So I think there is a point of that. That's the one that makes the most sense. Buffalo, I don't see just in the way that team is going.
They've got Diggs, Gabe Davis. They've got.
Well, and Diggs apparently is unhappy.
I know Diggs.
So
do
you want to go to a place where your number 1's already unhappy?
Right.
That was regressing last year. If they regress again this year, then you figure their coach is out, that there's going to be some sweeping changes because you just can't keep rolling with the coach if that window closed, and then you find out that it was Dayball that was really helping out Josh Allen. I mean,
yeah. So I'm honestly thinking down the list. The only other powerhouse team, Super Bowl bound team, is San Francisco, and that just doesn't fit. I mean, he doesn't fit with that scheme.
No, and I mean he could because
I think it would be a wasted talent.
I think he could do great things there. I don't know if he wants to go there because they don't know they have a quarterback too.
Right.
So I don't know where that one ends up. We know he's not going to the Patriots.
No, I mean
because Bill O'Brien's at the Patriots.
Right.
So I get it's not a thing of Bill Belichick. It's not a thing of Patriots culture. It is a thing that Bill O'Brien, the man who traded him and hated him, is the offensive coordinator for them. So I don't think he's going to go to the Patriots. But once you start going down that list of guys who are competing for the title, that are in that title race, that don't already have two, because you go Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got two guys already. Cincinnati has two guys already.
Miami, which was not, but
Dallas has two guys already. They have three because they have Michael Gallup.
The Saints, but I mean they're really not fighting. But
yeah.
You got Derek Carr. Then you got Olave. You don't know what you have with Michael Thomas, so he could fit in there
he could. But again, I don't think that feels like you're right in the middle of I'm not ring chasing and I don't have a great quarterback. I have a good quarterback, not a great one, and so I just kind of end up in the middle again. And then what happens if Derek Carr hits the end of his career and now I'm stuck again without a guy? I just when he started asking for it, he was like, I'm not going to take a discount. You were like, oh, I don't know how this ends well because I don't know what team has the good quarterback has.
So like the Rodgers, the Jets have already said they're not interested. Then you got the Chargers. They way too many wide receivers. Yeah. What's the other team? Denver, but
they're not. I mean, you don't even know what Russell Wilson's going to
be. Exactly.
So yeah, Denver would take it. But yeah, you're going into a complete wide open quarterback room.
It's tough. I mean, even Detroit, maybe, but that's just really not Detroit.
What do you think about Jared Goff?
I mean, he's been serviceable.
He was really good last year statistically. So I don't know. That one is one that I'm keeping my eye on. It's very interesting. He's also, you figure, going to have to do something sooner rather than later because we're already in OTAs. You want to get into a team where you're built into the game plan, especially if you're a guy like Hopkins.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to wait till the last minute to come in and maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. He's like, I don't really want to do the training camp stuff this year, so I'm going to wait a little bit.
Last one, Trevor Lawrence, the Jags. I mean,
that is one. So the problem with that is Calvin Ridley coming back. Yeah. And so if you say you have Zay Jones there, you have Christian Watson.
Christian Kirk, you're right.
Christian Kirk, and now Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. Now I like if you sign him and then you trade off one of your young guys.
Trade off Kirk.
And so you either trade off Kirk or Zay Jones and say, hey, there's this young guy. We're able to get a good return for them and either get a good pick or get another defensive player or somebody else to help your team. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
But I think you have to make another move if you bring him in there. And you also have to tell DeAndre Hopkins who Trevor Lawrence is because I don't think he knows because there was an interview with him and he named his top quarterbacks. And one was Josh Allen. I believe 2 was Lamar Jackson. 3 was Jalen Hurts. 4 was
Burrow?
No, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
And then 5 was that kid from San Diego. Justin Herbert, yeah.
Okay.
But
if he doesn't know Justin, he for sure doesn't know.
That's what I'm saying. Trevor Lawrence is way behind.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think he knows who if he go to Detroit. I don't know if he knows. He's like, Detroit, is Matt Stafford still there? You're like, no.
It's the other guy.
No.
The other one.
And again, the Rams will be one of those teams that you talk about. Do you want to play? But he doesn't really fit the McVay offense. And again,
they're in rebuild mode.
They are, but you also figure they're not going to be as bad as they were last year because they still have a lot of those guys, and everyone was just hurt last year. So they'll be a little bit better than they were last year.
That's not saying much.
But I think you already have Cooper Kupp there. I don't think you need to add him in.
And Seattle's
and he's not
right?
a great route runner. Yeah, now that they drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba.
For sure.
I don't think you get him. So that's an interesting one. Aaron Rodgers missed one of his practices at OTAs. He's showing up, but he's already out with a calf injury. Are you at all worried that Aaron Rodgers may be hitting the age where he's going to miss some time this season? He's been pretty good at being a warrior throughout the years.
No, he just was hungover from the Taylor Swift concert. That's all that was.
That was that dancing?
Yeah.
It is. You're like, man, what are you hydrating with? Because I don't know if you're putting like minerals in things, but you're actually putting like just rocks from the playground in your thing. You're like, hey, there's mineral water. Like that's not. It's making you thirstier. You got to drink some salt water. No, bad idea, Aaron. You're not worried about this at all. You still think?
No, not at all.
What's your prediction? Do you think that they're a 10-win team this year?
They are a playoff team.
A playoff team. Is what you can go with. Okay. Yes. And Jimmy Garoppolo. This is the interesting one. Jimmy Garoppolo fails his physical. Basically, he has a Liz Frank injury. So they say, look, you're still on the team. We're still signing you. But if this injury forces you to miss major amounts of time or whatever, we can basically void your contract after this year and get out of everything we've promised you. And I don't know where we would turn. I know he said that he's definitely not coming back to play football. But we do have this minority owner that just came in. And, I mean, like, if you just had to go to the stands and somebody might be in the stands at one of our games, like, ooh, can you play for us?
That's hilarious.
Are you buying into any of this Tom Brady theory?
I didn't even know that was a thing, but I love it.
Yeah, because he's a minority owner now in the Raiders.
Yes.
That is the theory, is that he's trying to Jackie Moon it. And come there, because that was the theory in Miami.
Yeah.
We know that was the whole reason Miami didn't have a first-round pick this year, was because they did. They had evidence that they had set up trying to scheme to get Sean Payton as head coach and Tom Brady as quarterback, and Tom Brady was going to get paid some of the ownership stake to be the quarterback. I love the theory.
I love it.
I love it too, because it would just be
another
like Jimmy
full circle.
Like, come on,
full circle. Yes, I love it.
And then Tom Brady being like, I'm retiring again unless Jimmy G plays again. I'll take him out. My wife once said he was good looking, and I've never gotten over it. I'm giving him too cool of a voice.
That was way too cool.
Tom Brady has such a terrible voice.
Yeah.
I cannot. It's going to be such an adjustment when he's announcing.
It's going to be one of those things you mute, right?
I'm wondering if because he might give good insight, but at the same point, if he's like, "Hey guys, cool game. Oh man, what a pass!"
It's going to be that voice, but giving good insight. But you're going to have to deal with that voice.
Oh, look at him. He's running a 4-3 defense right now. Oh, I don't know if I can deal with that. Let's go over to Top Shelf, Bottom Shelf. Every week we have some stories that we did not have time to get to in the rest of the show. And I will tell you, to the grade A Spurs still soaking in that Wembanyama street stakes. These finals are so nice to watch because we'll be there next year. Or that terrible Bottom Shelf. You're a Celtics fan, and you were so close. So close.
But were you?
And it's slipping through your fingers. If you want to join the conversation, 512-337-3776 if you've got a topic you want us to bring up. Anthony, what's our first topic?
This is because I want to know what this is about. Players make decisions on draft or college.
So last night at midnight, it was at midnight Eastern, it was the time for college players who had declared for the NBA draft but had not gotten an agent. They were still maintaining their eligibility. They had to make the decision by midnight last night Eastern time if they were going to come back to school or go in the draft. A number of big names like Zach Edey, player of the year for Purdue, big 7'4" guy, is going back to college.
Wow.
So a bunch of names are going back because NIL has changed it. It used to be if you were a second-round pick, you were going pro, right? Because that was money.
Yeah.
And even if you were not even going to be picked, but you were like, oh, a team told me I'd probably be a G League guy. Like, they'll bring me in. I'm going to make money. With NIL, they can make good money here. And, of course, for Texas, the big news at 10:50. So it was 11 p.m. Eastern, or midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central, 10:59 p.m. last night. The tweet goes out, Dillon Mitchell coming back to Texas. He had a minute to spare when that news came out. And of course, he handled this actually paperwork and stuff before, I'm sure.
Right.
But the news came out at 10:59 that he was going to come back and play for Texas next season. That is huge. It is going to be it's very top shelf, because this gives you now with Shedrick and Dessou, and now I believe you can play Dillon Mitchell at 3, which is more his natural position in the NBA, is going to be a wing, and they played him a lot more at 4 and played him a little bit more inside. You're going to be able to see if he's going to be able to hit that 3 in games, and this is a big test for Rodney Terry. If Rodney Terry can move him up, the further he moves him up in the draft with how he plays him this year and how they win and how he performs,
I got you.
The recruiting for that, if Dillon Dessou and Dillon Mitchell get drafted next year, if they're both first-round picks, I don't think Dillon Dessou will be a first-round pick. He's a little bit older. But if he gets both those drafted and he moves Dillon Mitchell up into the first round, man, that is a solid job by Rodney Terry, and it is going to grow your stake as a recruiter. And I will tell people, if you're not sure that Dillon Mitchell could be the growth and player that there was, look at the difference between Dillon Dessou with Coach Beard and with Coach Terry, and what we saw with Dillon Dessou at the end of the year when he was able to play a little bit different style than what Coach Beard wanted. Coach Terry has a different style. If he's able to get Dillon Mitchell up there, it's great news for the Texans.
That is top shelf. I like that one. SEC picks 8-game format, 1 rivalry game.
This came out today. They were going between the 8-game schedule with 1 rival game, conference schedule, or a 9-game schedule with 3 rivalries you play every year. Texas, of course, really wants, when they get there, to have the 3 rivals.
Yeah.
You want Oklahoma, A&M, and Arkansas. three big rivals. SEC doesn't necessarily have the amount of rivals. A lot of these teams don't. Like South Carolina's big rival is Clemson. Florida has a rival in Georgia, but they also want to play Florida State or Miami or another in-state school.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Some of these schools want to play other schools outside the conference. That's their rivalry game.
Right.
And so they don't necessarily have three natural rivals in conference, so they don't want to do it. Plus, they want to play less conference games. They want more easy games and easy wins on the schedule. So they voted the other way. There is a theory, too, that there's money involved in it in the TV deal. They're like, if we're going to give you another game, we want more money in our TV deal, so we're giving you another big market game and a big money game. It sucks for Texas. It really, really sucks for Texas because it means we will not play A&M every year. And that is crazy going to the SEC, and we're still not going to play A&M every year and renew that rivalry because our one rival is Oklahoma.
So are we for sure, though, going to keep that? We're going to always play Oklahoma?
We just renewed the deal with the State Fair and the Cotton Bowl. They're going to keep that one alive. So that's painful. Now they are going to re-look at this, I believe, in 2 years. But that means for the first year in the league, you're hoping that A&M's on the schedule. If SEC has any brains, Texas A&M will be on that schedule for the first year, but they may not be in 2025.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
So bottom shelf SEC.
Bottom shelf. Sydney Ink's deal to host 3 more UFC events.
Look, I hate these overseas ones because they don't start at the right time.
Sure.
I need these to start at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. I need these to be late-night events where I can get properly drunk for them because when they happen in the afternoon, it's very annoying because you're like, when's the next UFC fight? Are they fighting tonight?
It's already over.
Oh, we're almost at the main event already. Yeah. It's 2 p.m. I'm mowing the yard right now. I don't know what's happening. What's your thought on this?
So that right there is the main theme, but it makes sense. I mean, you've got a lot of top-tier fighters who are, who have belts. So their fan base is growing over there. You want to
get the strategic marketplace, and I get all of that. I'm saying as a casual fan, you should put it just how I like it, and all fights be late at night.
See, but this was specific because it just is events. This isn't pay-per-view events.
It's not. No, I'm sure there'll probably be one
pay-per-view and the rest.
But I prefer not to be pay-per-view events because I'll watch even more of those because I'm cheap.
That is very true. You are cheap.
Let's go to the next one.
Major regional sports TV bankruptcy hearing.
This is big. So I believe in a Houston court, there is one of the providers, I'm not sure which one it is, that is going bankrupt. That basically, you know how it was Bally Sports, which Fox Sports Southwest, they're not making any money. AT&T Sportsnet has basically folded all these companies that carry your local NBA and MLB games that all have terrible deals that you can't get on any streaming service. It sucks. You have to pay so much money to watch. Like, I can't watch the Astros because it's such a monetary – like, it's basically I will lose channels and have to pay another $50 a month than what I'm paying just for that. And I don't want to do that. No. So it's just brutal. But apparently they're making – this is going to be landmark of does this whole system blow up and they're going to have to change the way they do things, or does basically the court allow these companies to change their deals, keep the rights, but then pay them less money because they're like, well, they don't make the same amount of money, so we shouldn't have to pay them as much, and a contract should be changed. There's a lot that goes into it. You kind of want all these contracts to go null and void and let teams figure out a new way and let MLB maybe get rid of the blackout restrictions, and everybody just gets MLB TV. Things like that would be made preferable as a fan. Or even, I know Bally Sports went into a streaming thing where that was just you could buy that, which I didn't, but that's because I had to log in to watch another way. Yeah. But if you even go, hey, man, do you want to watch the Astros? It's $10 a month to watch the Astros. And you can watch every game. And then you go, cool. All right, I'll do $10 a month to watch my team, especially a baseball team when they play, 28 games a month. Of course, I'll pay the $10, $15 a month for that. But it's a landmark because it's going to decide how these games go in the future.
I like it. One more?
One more.
All right. Sydney Ink's deal to Ron Holland joins G League Ignite.
All right, all you Rodney Terry haters. He didn't go to another school. He wanted to make some money this season. He wasn't going to get the playing time, make the money. Look, I think if he would have been still a mid-round, projected mid-round, first-round pick, he would have gone to the Longhorns. He's a projected top 5 pick right now. He knows he's going to get way more personal work with NBA coaches when he goes there. So he was not going to get that. He could have gone G League, but he would have been further back in the roster. He now knows he is a major part of this G League Ignite plan to bring in top prospects to make the G League a bigger, profitable organization. I get it. It sucks for Texas, but with Dylan Mitchell coming back, it's going to be okay. He was probably not going to play a ton of minutes anyway. Now, hopefully he was going to be super good immediately and play more minutes. That's not the way in college basketball it works a lot. So hopefully he works out well for him. He goes off. But for Rodney Terry haters, I think he's done very well this offseason. And this shows you again, he did not go to another school. They didn't lose a commit to another school. Arterio Morris going to Kansas is about as bad as it got for them, which that one sucks. That one hurts. But it wasn't like a mass exodus, which we've seen in other places. Kentucky is hurting right now. Kentucky is hurting. And y'all wanted to hire Calipari. His team's falling apart. We got to go to break. When we get back, we'll do some Insinserious news and wrap things up for you and let you know just how bad Miami is playing. Here on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9 AM, 1260. Insinserious back on the Horn. It is time for some Insinserious news. Anthony, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Remember, if you have any stories or any opinions or answers to these questions, join us on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And if you're waiting for us to give you an update on the game, it is still a 16-point game with 7.5 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Beautiful.
And you can guess who's winning. It is the team we all thought was going to be. Where's my stories? All right. Our first story. There is a new world record holder, and it's two of them. They're tying. Two Marvel fans have earned the world record with 34 superhero character tattoos. Apparently, one of the guys who was a record holder had 31. Then they heard a guy had 34. And so the guy with 31 was like, oh, yeah, I added a few too. So he was also at 34. But apparently the world record holder is going to be lost soon because his whole body is inked. Very skinny guy, whole body inked already. Big fat guy. Not his whole body inked. A lot more room. Yeah, so he could get up to like 100. I don't know how many Marvel characters there are. I don't know if you get to count duplicates. They got to be different. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know the rules. But I don't like. I'm not a Marvel guy. I'll see a movie every once in a while.
You just hate happiness fun.
I do. Yeah. I really do. But no, I just don't watch a lot of movies in general.
That's fair.
And then so I'm sure they're great. Have fun with them. Like, I'm a nerd in plenty of other things. Yeah. I can't talk any trash about whatever makes you happy.
34 wrestlers?
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Totally. I wouldn't, because you're like, probably like 25 of these are real scumbags. So I wouldn't want to put them on my body. And then later comes out like, and he used to abuse. And you're like, no.
He's this on my shoulder.
Oh, he's right, very prominent. You got to wear a sleeve weird every day now. What fandom would you get 34 or more tattoos of?
Well, so if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it dumb, because this is such a dumb idea. But I would do Mac and Me. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, the one with the guy, the Paul Rudd one.
Paul Rudd ruined it because he makes it a joke.
No, Paul Rudd made it reference that everyone knows.
Listen, Mac and Me was the greatest movie of all time. I used to watch it every day growing up. I'd have all the scenes, all the references. Yeah. But I mean, again,
dude, could you just have him falling off the cliff? Just all the way down your arm? It's just a sleeve of him going down the cliff. Yeah, I think that's a good one. 34 tattoos of Mac and Me. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I could go wrestling, but I feel like it's bad. I want to get a sleeve of band like patches and band logos all down my arm at one point.
That's nice.
But again, you can't ever get a tattoo of a band because they're gonna do something stupid, and like rules change. And then people retroactively go back, and they're like, you shouldn't have been having sex with 20 girls in a room. You're like, well, no one told us at the time.
You could get 34 All-Star Spurs if there was 34 All-Star Spurs. So maybe not. Maybe just...
Ooh, sick burn. Sick burn.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I know people felt that.
Sick burn. We have 5 rings.
And
the number 1 overall pick.
And? That's not 34.
No, I bet we'd have a good amount. A decent amount. A decent amont.
For
an expansion franchise. A decent amount.
I'm very proud now.
A pizzeria in New Zealand has offered to delay payments until after customers die. I believe it's called Hell Pizza. They are offering this promotion to 666 customers. That basically they kept seeing have you seen those pay for it later, like pay in installments and pay it later?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I'm buying like a $4 thing off Amazon. I'm buying batteries. And they're like, would you like to pay us in installments? You're like, I'll go ahead and handle this one right now. I'm making the big bucks. I can afford a $12 purchase on Amazon. But apparently they have this thing where you can do that. But you can't take this for an essential item. So it's pizza. So you just buy your pizza, and then you have an addendum in your will that's legally binding that when you die, part of your will and your estate goes to them to pay off for all the pizzas. What non-essential item? Because you can't say like rent or that, because it's got to be non-essential. It got to be something, car payment or whatever. You're like, give me a Maserati. I'll pay it off when I'm dead. Surprise! I have no money now. Why do you think I'll have any when I'm dead?
So I mean, the obvious would be the Jack Daniels. It's a good investment, but I would say.
But that problem is that they meet in the middle, right? Because you just drink yourself to death, and then it meets in the middle. And then
but I still don't have to pay for it. But I'll go with this. Toilet paper. You realize how much money you spend on toilet paper in a lifetime? At least for me, I have problems. So it's an expensive thing, and I would not like to pay for it until I die. I
like that. And then finally, a former high school in Oklahoma has been listed as a single-family home. $60,000 for the school, 5-bedroom, has a basketball court in it. You got to live in Oklahoma. What random building would you live in if you had the chance?
The Facebook building. As long as it still has all the Facebook stuff, because I've heard it's pretty awesome in there.
I figure just a firehouse. Just every morning, it seems like a good way to start your morning to slide down the pole.
Sir.
Just slide down the pole every morning.
See that
it seems like a good way to start your morning, right?
Sounds terrible.
And then just one morning you call in and you go,
one morning.
I slipped.
It's the first morning you do it. This was terrible.
Oh, I think it would be great. It would be terrible. Like, the problem would be when you get home and you forget there's stairs and you're just trying to climb up it drunk. That would be the problem. We got to get out of here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to another episode. For Anthony White, I am Patrick Davis telling you have a great weekend. Keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you next week. Peace.